Welcome to episode 89 of Broad Street Hustle. I probably should have talked to Chalky beforehand. Hopefully he introed with the NFL little doo-doo-doo music or however it goes. It is, what is this, wild card weekend? Wild card weekend in the NFL.
Super wild card weekend.
Is that what it's called now? Super wild card weekend in the NFL. Games Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we have a big show today for episode 89 of Broad Street Hustle. As always, I'm your host, Tommy Nanny. Got Jason Sayeda.
What's going on, Tom?
What's up, Jason? I got Jimmy the Chalk.
I think finding a song for the intro is going to be more exciting than this game this week, but we'll see.
Christopher Michael Meeker up there.
What's up, guys?
And we have a special guest. He usually joins us for our golf podcast, but he's crossing over to the NFL. Really, I just needed somebody on the show to help me defend the Eagles, as I will pick them and everybody else will pick against them. So I'm confident that Kevin will also pick them. We got Kevin Krieger with
from the big basement
in the red light district there. All right, let's jump right into it. We got such an action-packed show. We're going to talk Eagles Tampa. We're going to give out who we like in each game. We're going to roadmap all the way through the Super Bowl. And we're going to finish with our stats because, you know, as you've been listening to, you should know every week we have picks and we give out the stats every week. But before we jump into the games, we had a little talk. There's been so much coaching, not really changes, just coaches getting fired. No coaches have been hired. A couple coordinators and offensive line coaches, but not a head coaching job. But there has been some big job openings, specifically, you know, Belichick today with the news. And one of our guests, Meeker, I'm going to let you kick it off. You've been very vocal about the coaching musical chairs. What's your thoughts?
No, I mean, I guess I just never seen a landscape of pretty high-profile coaches be available in an off-season. And who knows, like, after these playoffs are over, and it could actually grow from here. So, you know, obviously we were talking today about Belichick and, you know, where does he go? What's the best fit? Obviously he still wants to coach. I think Carroll still wants to coach. So you have two, you know, dare I say, one definitely Hall of Fame coach, maybe a second Hall of Fame coach in the market right now. So best fit, everyone wants to say the Chargers are best fit for Belichick because they have the built-in quarterback, but as I was saying to you guys earlier, I mean, that's a very terribly run organization. I don't know if that's really where Belichick wants to go. I think he wants to play for an owner that doesn't want to meddle too much. And, you know, Atlanta, Washington, you know, who knows if that's a better fit for him. But he can go get his quarterback and groom the quarterback rather than come in with the quarterback he already has. That I think has been a little bit of a disappointment. But, you know, I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if that's the best fit for him. Might be a good fit for Harbaugh if he decides to come to the NFL.
So what's the best coaching job? Let's start with that. What's the you know, the sexiest job that a coach, a Belichick or, you know, Harbaugh who can pick wherever they want to go? I mean, you tend to think it's Atlanta?
I don't.
Is that what I heard?
I don't think. I mean, I've heard football people think that
Atlanta. I've heard that.
But I don't know that I almost throw a rock at that. The Chargers are the best job either.
Now, can I ask why? Let me ask why.
Because of their ownership.
Okay. The reason the ownership is thought to be so bad is because they keep hiring the wrong coach.
That's
what
true.
else? What else has the ownership done wrong other than hired the wrong coach?
Cheap. They're cheap.
They're cheap. Yeah.
How are they cheap?
They're skinflint. They're notoriously skinflint. They try to get cheap on everything. They nickel and dime.
But if they go and hire, I think it's going to be Harbaugh because Harbaugh is going to leave college and he's going to the best job, which is the Chargers. But then if they spend money on the coach, then that solves that problem. They go get players. They got Mac, and they go get guys and all. It's just
I agree as far as a job, but when San Diego has flipped over how many coaches in however many last years with guys like Rivers and now Herbert. Like they have never hired a top level coach in the last.
But
they've
if
got the
they
retreads. But if that's so with the ownership, what I'm saying, like maybe they're going to push this time, but the ownership has zero history of doing the right thing in that so far. So I think that has to be taken into account.
But you're saying what's going to happen
right
versus what's the most attractive job. You're predicting it's not going to happen because the ownership's cheap. But Jason's saying, all things
from
aside,
from a talent standpoint, the Chargers probably.
I mean, you guys don't think, like, we'll get to our picks later, but I think the most coveted job and an owner that loves making a splash is down in Big D. I mean, I think Dallas. I don't think McCarthy.
If that becomes available.
If that becomes available,
I think it's going to become available.
My bomb was going to be Belichick goes south, but not to Atlanta, but down there.
He's going to go after.
What has to happen for them to fire McCarthy? Did they have to lose in the second round?
Bay. I mean, I think if they don't get past,
I think they got to win 2 games. I think they
got to make the NFC Championship.
To feel completely safe, he's got to get at least to the championship game, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And I know Jones came out and gave him a vote of confidence already, but that was before Belichick was officially separated. And I mean, it just seems like, is there a better fit? Like the most hated owner in the league versus like the most hated coach, and like they get to join together in their octogenarian years and try to win a championship. But if Dallas does fall short, they have talent on both sides of the ball. No matter how good of a quarterback you think Dak isn't, would be the second best option next to Herbert if you think Herbert's better than him. And that could be a team that just completely underachieves in the playoffs, and maybe he's the guy that puts them over the top.
See, my thing is, I think Harbaugh is the best candidate because everywhere he goes, he wins. So
he's an offensive coach versus a defensive coach.
He's young. I think if he's coming to the NFL, he's going to be your number one candidate. That might be who Jerry Jones goes after.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Got 3-4 years at best, and he's done.
Yeah, I agree on Harbaugh too.
Yeah.
I don't know if those guys could coexist with each other.
These.
Well, the other thing too is the Houston job might become available when DeMeco Ryans resigns to go take the Alabama job after this weekend. But
a lot of moving parts.
You really think he would?
No, I don't think so. But we're talking about the NFL, and then most likely the reigning national champion, and then perhaps the most desirable job in college football at Alabama are also all going to be available at the same time, if assuming Harbaugh goes back to the NFL. So,
all right,
it's crazy.
All right, anything else? We have a big show. I don't want to spend too much time. I think we got our shots in, and that was the goal of the segment. So I think it was successful. All right, let's.
Carroll is not going to coach anywhere. No. He's already agreed to take a job in the Seahawks front office, so he wouldn't do that if he still wanted to go coach somewhere.
Quinn will take
Carroll,
yes.
Pete Carroll and my daughter had the same headset during the games. It was made by Fisher and Price, and it was plastic. He didn't even wear a headset while the game was going on. He didn't do anything.
He had the right headset when he called that pass
they just
in
feed
the Super
him
Bowl,
gum,
unfortunately.
Like Biden's handlers feed him ice cream.
That's right. Choose all that gum.
All right, let's move on to the Eagles, Tampa Bay. I'm going to break character here. I'm going to let Chalky start. It's not pick, so... Hey, that is character. We'll let him start because he made a schneid comment to start the show, which led you to believe that the Eagles were not going to win this game. So I'll let you start.
Well, I'm not going to keep people in suspense. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I have zero confidence in the pick, but I'll pick the Eagles. I took the time to re-listen to the Week 4 episode where we recapped the first Tampa Bay Eagles game, and some of the words were, dominant, forceful. Carter and Davis look great. Just about everything that's not happening now for the Eagles went right for them in that game. And I think from a start to finish standpoint, you can argue that was their most dominant win because Tampa really was never in the game. And even though the offense sputtered a little bit at the start, it just, you never had the sense that Tampa was back into the game. So, that maybe the Dolphins game is up, but the Dolphins got the game tied at one point, maybe, made folks nervous. But that was almost, seems, multiple seasons ago, and the Eagles shut the defense, bottled them up. I don't know the defense can stop anybody at this point. Slay is coming back, great, but I have zero confidence. They had communication mistakes again in the very short time the starters played in the Giants game. Whether that's changing defensive coordinators or just people being lost, or I don't know, but they're not in the right places, or they don't know what's going on pre-snap. And even a hot, cold quarterback like Baker Mayfield can hurt you in those situations. And he has 2,000-yard receivers again this year in Evans and Godwin. And White had 60-something receptions, I think, as a running back. So they can hurt the Eagles that way. But I think the talent differential is still there. And despite I have no faith that they can actually play to it, I still think the Eagles can do enough. Now, the Monday night game will help them a little bit, but Brown didn't practice today, but they're a day behind, so who knows? They're not saying if he's going to play. Hurts is going to play with the bad finger. If they can run the ball a little bit effectively to at least keep the Tampa
it's going to
defense
rain
off balance.
too. The weather seems to be potentially could play a factor as well.
It'll be fourth Monday night game this year, fourth game it's rained, because it rained the first time at Tampa, and Hurts has been sick hurt for the last 4 Monday night games. So if this happens, if you hear it this week, it's 4-5. So they won in the trenches last time. I don't have the confidence that the defensive line will get that kind of pressure, but if they can at least keep them off balance to where Hurts isn't in 3rd and 7, because he wasn't great against the blitz earlier this year, but he's absolutely awful right now. And we've said it every week, but they don't give hot routes, they don't give options, and whether he's not picking it up or he doesn't, but even I think it was
Coaches are taking a lot of blame for Hurts not being able to identify blitzes. But
yeah, I mean, but some of that has to be if you're in a 3rd and 7 against Wink Martindale, who loves the blitz, you got to have an option there. And the first drive last week, there was 3rd and long, and the receivers ran 10-yard routes again, and there was guys on Hurts before somebody even looked back for the ball. So I don't blame the coaching staff extensively, but I don't think the coaching staff continues to do Hurts any favors.
The
maybe
quarterback
Frank
also
Reich
makes those
year,
adjustments when they don't know they're going to blitz when the play's called. It's not until they get to the line of scrimmage that they see that they're showing pressure. That's where
I think you can take that out of the quarterback's hands. It should be given at this point that they're going to give the heat.
How about running the damn ball, run into the blitz? I mean, that's
but if you call a play that's a 3-yard play and they're not blitzing and they got four guys waiting for them,
you don't have to give
the plays called. Then the defense aligns. And then the quarterback and the offensive line make their adjustments. Sirianni don't run on the field and say, "All right, you go, you call this."
But and Jason, you said this, like, their playbook doesn't have hot routes. No, so whether Hurts can check into a blitz or not, if he doesn't have the option to go into a hot route and call something 5 yards across the middle or lead somebody at the backfield,
how do we know that? How do we know that?
I mean, everybody and their mother has said it and analyzed.
Maybe Hurts isn't calling them.
I can't believe that every quote unquote analyst is missing that Hurts is solely responsible for that. They know more than me. I know nothing, but they said that this offense is not doing him any favors, and he's making mistakes too. And when you combine those two, it's not good. And they've looked that way despite scoring 30 points in a couple of games. And they'll blitz a lot. They can blitz a lot, Tampa. So figure out a score, 3-point Eagles win. I don't know. It's not exciting for me this week because it's going to be more painful even if they win, but they'll win.
All right, Jason.
I don't think the Eagles could beat a team that has a quarterback who could throw a forward pass at this point.
Wow, Tampa barely could throw a forward pass, putting up 9 points last week against Carolina.
One game in the last 2 months, and that was Tommy DeVito, who can't throw.
Tampa Bay put up 9 points against Carolina. So if you're going to use the Eagles against the Giants, they put 9 points up against Carolina.
I would still take Mayfield and Evans and
who's
Godwin.
Probably more banged up than Hurts right now too. Mayfield.
He is banged up, but
we really should be talking Saints Eagles right now. But Carolina gave him that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick them against anybody. I mean, they just lost to the Arizona Cardinals at home. They just lost to the Giants, who are the two of the three worst teams in football. I don't think they can beat anybody right now. I just don't see it. I think you want to talk about loser mentality. A.J. Brown, I think, is a loser. I think he's a
Carolina would come in here and beat them. Carolina would come in here and beat them.
I don't know about Carolina.
Oh, well, that's everybody. I mean, you said they wouldn't beat anybody.
Okay, all right, maybe not Carolina, but all the other 30 teams would beat them.
Arizona.
Okay.
So Arizona is pretty close to Carolina, and
Their offense has been very good since Murray came back. I'm not excusing the defense, but their offense has played pretty well in those games.
yeah, he's a superstar, Murray. But
I mean, you can
Not an
ignore it,
athletic
but
quarterback.
I mean, listen, he's Kyler Murray. All right, I don't see them beating anybody. I think they're a dead team. I think they're done. I think the defense is one of the worst defenses. They're definitely one of the worst defenses in football this year. The offense is sputtering. I mean, maybe the offense can get going a little bit, but Hurts is not good in the rain. I mean, if it's going to rain, you see Hurts' stats in rain versus not in rain, and he's not as good in rain. I don't see it. I don't see.
So let me ask you. My one thing is what. So why is that line 3 then? That doesn't. I mean, you're a person that plays lines.
If you look at
all that stuff.
I built my own model. Even in my model, it says the Eagles are a better team than Tampa Bay. However, my model, I know my model doesn't account for the last 5-6 games. My model takes
Sounds like you got to
every
tweak the
game.
model then. No.
Yeah, I should. I mean, I just started building it, so I'm going to try to refine it for next year. But, yeah, I mean, listen, I always say I think Vegas, Vegas is usually not wrong. I think they're wrong here. I flat out think they're wrong here. I don't see it. I'm betting Tampa Bay money line. I do not see the Eagles winning this game.
Meeker?
Well, it's been, 16 weeks since that game that Chalky alluded to that the Eagles dominated Tampa Bay. And obviously a lot has happened in 16 weeks. So I kind of agree with Jason. I don't know how you can pick the Eagles to win a game right now the way they're playing. But it's not like Tampa Bay comes into this game on any kind of roll. I mean, they got crushed by the Saints 2 weeks ago. They scored no touchdowns against a bad Carolina team in a game that they needed to win the division. And the Eagles have been dreadful. I can't see how all of a sudden they're going to figure anything out, though, after going 1-5 in their last 6 games. Injuries are obviously a factor with Hurts, with Brown, Blankenship, Smith, Slay's coming back from an injury, go on and on. So secondary's been a mess and has been a mess for quite a long time. It seems like, and Chalky and I, you remember this, I don't know, about 8 podcasts ago, we talked about how it seemed like their pass rush and their sacks were way off from last year. But when we looked at the stats about 7 weeks ago,
I've been waiting for you to bring it back up again because after that, the pass rush became almost non-existent.
Which team hasn't had a sack in 8 games? Sweat hasn't had a sack in 8 games.
They're like 50 sacks behind last year. It's 40 sacks behind.
Yeah.
Set in the record.
Yeah, that's actually one of their major problems.
And it's not even the sacks necessarily because they've gotten a couple sacks in key situations in some of those other games, but it's like the lack of consistent pressure. So it's like if you get 0 sacks but you're on the quarterback the whole game, that's better than getting 2 sacks and not getting close for the rest of it. So it's not consistent pressure.
Yeah, and look, their play calling on offense seems all kind of out of sorts, and with this injury to Hurts, that's not helping anything. I mean, everything seems to me to point towards Tampa Bay upsetting the Eagles and ending their season. I think Mayfield's health is a concern. He looked bad last Sunday against Carolina, but they do have decent playmakers in Evans and Godwin. I don't know that they need to score that many points to win the game. I'm going to pick Tampa Bay eking out an upset 22-18. And then they'll go to San Francisco and get trounced next week like they should against this Eagles team. But this Eagles team is just not what it was. And I can see them losing.
All right, Kevin, our special guest, throw us a lifeline.
I'm trying. I mean, as I'm listening, it's like I agree with everything you guys are saying. I mean, the Eagles have looked like a bottom feeders the last 6 weeks. Hurts has turned into a turnover machine and giving me PTSD from Wentz's regression. I think Sirianni has lost the clubhouse, and him sticking with Patricia yet again this week after the last 2 or 3 that he's called is mind-boggling. We're injured, we're banged up, on the road in the rain. I mean, listen, there's no reason that the Eagles should win this game. I mean, all 3 of you, I mean, we all kind of agree that, but I think the reason I'm picking the Birds is a few reasons. One is pedigree and experience. I mean, I find it hard to believe, like you said, we went from 70 sacks last year to 45 this year. I mean, we got to started the season off 10-1 in the trenches, both on defense and offense. I mean, we were the undisputed best offensive line last year, and went off 10-1 by doing 2 things, which I think are going to be crucial to this game. And I think Sirianni and the boys are going to do that. It's controlling the clock and running the ball, dominating in the trenches. I mean, Swift is going to be back. Devontae, had some rest. AJ basically had a full week's rest. I think the game plan is just going to be ground and pound, control the clock. I mean, we gotta control the ball. I mean, turnovers are going to kill us. If we have 2 turnovers or more, I don't think we're winning the game. But I think it's ground and pound, old school, control the clock. And again, I mean, this is a team that was in the Super Bowl last year, started 10-1. I mean, you got to think. I mean, it's a come to Jesus moment. Look in the freaking mirror, and I think that it's kind of the last stand potentially for that core 4. Kelsey, BG, Cox, and Lane. It's if their careers, right? Their first ballot Hall of Fame votes are on the line right here. So I think it's one of those where, again, everybody's picking Tampa except Vegas, which that also gives me hope. It's the lines tell me something, and I think control the clock, run the ball, and eke out an ugly win. Go Birds!
All right, and I always say the football nowadays is 3 main categories: turnovers, third down defense, third down offense, red zone offense, red zone defense. And the Eagles are terrible at all 3 of them, but they're going to win this game.
Tampa's third red zone defense.
They're bad. They're bad at all those categories. Terrible at all those categories. Worst defense I've ever seen on third down. But yeah, that to me the line is the first thing that says the Eagles. You got to hope. You got to take some of like what Goddard said, that they took the foot. They clinched the playoffs and they took their foot off the gas, whether you believe it or not. There's like Kevin, the pedigree of. They did it. They've been doing it. They did it last year. You got guys with Kelsey, Lane, all these guys that can win. And I was a guy. I actually liked Tampa for a few weeks. I said they're a sleeper team, but now, I mean, there's the last couple weeks. You want to talk about the Eagles the last 5-6 weeks. Tampa hasn't. They were already a question mark, and they really haven't shown anything. Look, it's my last chance I can pick the Eagles to win a game. I got to pick them because I cannot pick them next week when they play San Francisco. But I can pick them this week, so I'm going to go with the Eagles. And I think there's going to be points. A lot of people are thinking it's going to be low scoring, the Eagles' offense, the defense. So I got 31-27. They covered by a point. They put some points up in this game. I think you're going to see Hurts unleashed a little bit more on the ground. I think you're going to see his legs used more than he did all season. I do think some of what they did was in anticipation for the playoffs. I do think they did let their foot off the gas. They just figured, we got a nice lead in the division. We could take our foot off the gas. We got the 3 easy games to finish the season. And, I mean, it's the NFL. You take away motivation. You take away, that tenacity, and it's hard to get it back. So hopefully a solid week of practice gets it back for him. So I got 31-27 Eagles. It will officially be the last time I picked the Eagles this year. Anything else before we move on to the rest of the NFL?
Well, if the Eagles lose, is Sirianni the head coach next year?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
I missed the last pod.
I mean, go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, you can't give it. I mean, you've got the coordinators. I mean, I almost question if Howie sticks around. I mean, if Sirianni leaves, that'll be, 4 coaches in 6 years.
Not only that, his draft picks are not, look at his draft picks in the last couple of years.
Yeah, now
Jordan Davis
all the
was
guys
a
they're
buzz.
trying to
I
say.
mean, it looked going into this year looked
Right.
amazing.
Jalen Rager. I mean,
Nolan
Yeah,
Smith.
we have
Oh,
Devontae
that's
Smith,
Smith.
Jalen
He looks
Carter,
terrible.
Jalen Hurts.
I think Carter will be good. I think
Carter
Carter.
is good.
I think Carter's now tired.
It's his
Although
rookie
he only
season.
plays
It's
50% of the snaps. So
And you're starting to
still
see
think-
even he does some stuff on the field that has a little like Ndamukong Suh in him, where he takes an extra hit, or you see him. So he's the off the field stuff that was a worry. You could see might not.
That's
It could
my
still
issue.
be a worry.
Oh, that's my issue with him for sure. But I think talent-wise,
Yeah,
young.
talent wise. Mika,
Yeah.
you were saying stuff earlier about it. What do you think about Sirianni coming back if they lose?
I don't know. I mean, I've just been hearing some football people say that he will, if they lose this game, then he could be in trouble. And with the landscape of coaches, that are out there, that's a very attractive job for a coach, I think. So whether they want to make a move, I think that they can get their guy if they immediately say, right after this game's over, you're out before anything starts to happen with some of these coaches. There's a good possibility that might happen. I think it's a bigger possibility than most people think. Because if you just said that he lost the locker room, that's it, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing that a coach has to hang on to, is being able to have confidence with his players, and if he's lost that, then what's the use of hanging on to him, especially regressing as swiftly as this is gone,
Yeah,
So-
I think it's only a matter of if they identified somebody like a Belichick or Harbaugh and they're willing to come, that's who they want. So I think their mind is made up prior to, because say they win this game and then they lose 40-0 to San Francisco. Does that, well, they beat Tampa, so he's safe. Wouldn't that be the same thing? I mean, shouldn't he get fired for that too? I mean, why? So I just don't think it matters, this game. I think it's, already decided, and it's only decided if they want one of these guys specifically. Because I don't think they're going to do it and then, get Ben Johnson in Detroit to be the coach.
No, it'd have to be one of these high profile.
Which I think
coaches.
this game doesn't matter. I think they'll do it.
But
no
if they
matter what.
lose, they have a better excuse for making the move.
Who
than if
cares
they-
though? What do they have to justify?
Maybe not. I mean, but they just come off of a Super Bowl appearance. I mean,
And
it's tough.
if you interviewed the Eagles fans right now, 95% of them will want him fired already. So them winning a game in Arizona and
Times it's
in Tampa. Chalky, any thoughts?
I mean, I would say, I guess it depends on how badly they lose, if they're going to lose. I mean, if they lose 35-3 to Tampa, maybe, but that game against the Giants, and look, it wasn't, they didn't play the starters, and whether they were starters or trying to play hard. I mean, you see Brown get hurt in the second drive, and then people probably didn't want to play, and it hurts. Whatever excuses you want to make, that's the kind of game. I mean, the last, they won that Giants game, but the last some of the games toward the end of the year felt like that last year that Reed was here, where they started 3-1 and then lost 10 of 11. I mean, they just got they got embarrassed, but they were already in the playoffs, and they're coming off the Super Bowl and almost win the Super Bowl. So I think if he were to get fired, it would be because they decide that he's lost the locker room, but who's he losing? And if it's anyone other than Hurts, and you really like Hurts that much, does it really matter? Because you mentioned the four big leaders on the team. Well, they might all retire. So if he's lost them and they're gone anyway, does it matter? Do you care what Slay or Bradbury thinks if they're here for one more year? It's going to be, are you still invested in Hurts? And do you think there's a relationship there that can't be repaired? And if you're going to take Hurts over Sirianni, then yeah, maybe he goes. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want Belichick coming down here. I just don't know that he would be the guy to turn it around if they do fire Sirianni. And I mean, I hate to say it, this team just went to the Super Bowl, but and it's obviously be much different if they fire him than when they fired Doug after that really bad year. But Staley and Dable turned down the opportunity to interview for that job. So it's not like the Eagles are guaranteed to be the hottest job in the world if they were to fire Sirianni either. So
I mean, they just went through a bunch of coaches, 2 coaches being fired off of one.
And you see a coach made. I mean, the year Sirianni got hired in 2021, he's got by far the best winning percentage of any of the coaches hired since then, and over like 35% of the coaches that were hired since he took the job have been fired already. So, guy gets fired 3 years after winning a Super Bowl, and a guy gets fired the year after going to the Super Bowl. I don't know that your top level coaches are going to want to jump into that, but maybe Harbaugh would. I don't know, but
I think they just need. Dropped the video. I think they just need a non-buddy offense coordinator. They got too many friends. Brian Johnson and Hurts are friend. He coached them when he was a kid. Sirianni's friends with everybody. This and that. They need like Eric Bieniemy, somebody that's a hard ass that's going to tell him when he sucks, and not try to baby them and not let the quarterback decide or not. Like they need somebody. So I think you keep Sirianni, you replace the offense coordinator. You get
Frank Reich will be your offensive coordinator next year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or he'll be on the staff.
I don't really get the Frank Wright love, but
I'm not advocating for it, but Sirianni loves him, so he'll have him in the mix.
All right.
Quarterback whisperer, right?
I guess. And Johnson's got like 2 interviews lined up for head coach. I mean, those could be Rooney Rule requirements, but I mean, didn't think he'd end up getting any of them.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. All right, let's talk NFL Super Wild Card. We're going to go through every game. You guys give your picks if you want to give an analysis. We know your NFC picks because you already have the Eagles playing San Francisco, so there's only way that can match up.
Kinda.
Okay. Well, we'll still go through. Thanks.
We'll still go through.
So we now I lost my train of thought. So we will go through Supercard. If you this is not against the spread, so we're just giving picks.
I would try to keep it quick because we're already.
And we're always you're gonna say the same thing. There's only so much you could say. So I'll try to mix it around with who's going first to give an opinion. But if you like something against the spread, say it. You don't have to, but say it if that's your pick. So let's start, and I'll just go in the order of, I guess, what their. I don't even know what the games. I know Cleveland-Houston is the first game. Right now, I got Cleveland at -2.5 on the road. Jason, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I started to go back and forth on this game just because Cleveland is becoming like the trendy pick.
Yep.
But, Houston's got too much against them. You got the rookie quarterback. You got the rookie coach. Those stats are not good in the playoffs for first game. I think it's like 30% or something like that. I think the Browns are peaking at the right time, and I'm going to stick with Cleveland, even though it's a public pick as of now.
All right, Meeker.
Yeah, these two teams played each other earlier in the year, but Stroud wasn't playing. It was a Christmas Eve game, I think. I do find the storylines of this game pretty fascinating. I'm really interested in watching it. But I agree with Jason. I think Cleveland is peaking at the right time, and all the other things you talked about with rookie coach, rookie quarterback. Houston's going to be around for a while, but I think that they'll end up winning at 27-20. So I'm going Cleveland 27-20.
Chalky.
Houston.
All right.
Kev?
Sure, sweet. I think Cleveland rolls. Rested from last week. They got the number 1 defense. Already beat Houston. Before last week, they won 4 games in a row and covered. Flacco's one of the greatest road QBs in playoff history. Bombs away. Cleveland rolls.
Yeah, I was all over Cleveland as well. My opinion is pretty much the same as Jason's. Like, I'm worried that the public likes Cleveland. I thought the line could have been a little bit higher than it actually is. And now Ward came out with an injury in practice. And if you look at the defensive numbers for Cleveland, when Ward plays versus doesn't play, it's pretty significant, the drop-off. He's questionable, so that's one of those things you don't know if he's going to play or not going to play. But I'm going to stick with Cleveland. That was my original. I'm going to stick with them for very similar reasons. All right, let's move to the Saturday night game that may or may not be seen by a lot of folks, depending on if you have Peacock. I'm not sure if I have it, to be quite honest with you. I guess I'll find out Saturday.
Do you have Comcast?
I think everybody has Xfinity as Peacock.
Oh, all right, good. So I can watch the game.
Well,
It'll be a game played with a negative 30 wind chill. There's only one game I remember that was that cold. Was it Seattle? It was like a playoff game. Seattle, and it was like 9-6, right? It was all field goals. I think they missed a field goal at the end. I think Seattle made. I forget, but I don't know.
I'm saying the Green Bay Giants championship.
Oh, Green Bay
You
Giants.
guys-
Yeah, it was another
You
one.
guys are too young for the Ice Ball. Me and Mika remember, which was the Cincinnati
Chicago back in the
versus
day.
Cincinnati and San Diego.
yeah,
Right.
in 1981. That was
Oh, I thought you were talking about the original Ice Ball.
Not only was I too young,
I was like
wasn't
you guys
born.
aren't that old.
I wasn't
I
born.
didn't even think you guys were that old, but yeah.
no, not the original Ice Ball. That game was crazy.
All right.
I think it was colder than the Ice Bowl on record.
Might have been.
It might have been, yeah.
So Kansas City is right now a 4.5-point favorite. Meeker, thoughts?
If Miami was full strength on defense, I'd actually likely pick them to win this game, but they're banged up on both offense and defense coming in this game. Their pass rush is compromised without Chubb. KC's offense is a mess, as we've talked about many times in this podcast, but I think Miami tries to win the game on the ground because you would say, okay, they're like a warm weather team, but they can run the ball. So I think they're going to keep it close, but I think Mahomes outplays Tua. That might be a little bit of the difference, and they win, but they do not cover. I'm going to pick Kansas City 2017 in a game that I would like to bet the under on this week.
I could imagine it's dropping. I actually haven't seen the overrun.
44.
It's 43.5, still pretty high.
Chalky, what do you think?
Christ. Meeker's been saying for 2 months that KC's out in the first round, and now he's picking
I
KC.
wanted to.
Yeah.
I really did.
I mean, negative 30-degree game is a game, sounds like me, that needs to be won in the trenches. KC is better on both lines, so Kansas City wins.
Kev?
I mean, yeah, for me, it's back and forth. I do want to pick Miami, but again, going back to pedigree, home field advantage, short week for Miami as well. Better on the ground game, but I think it's KC's defense. It has kind of become elite. I don't think Mahomes necessarily wins it. I think KC's defense does, and I think it's going to be even lower. I don't think either team scores 20. I mean, I see it at about 17-10 KC, but yeah, I'll go with KC.
How about you, Jason?
Yeah, I've been saying the same thing. Like, I so want to pick against the Chiefs in the first game to get knocked out. I mean, the one thing I'll say about the weather is I don't care who you are. You're not used to negative 30 degrees. Like, the Chiefs ain't used to this either. So it's not like, oh, Miami's a warm weather team and this and that. Well, the Chiefs aren't used to this either. I mean, that being said, I still am going to pick the Chiefs in the game. I think Kevin's right. Their defense is really good. That's probably what's going to win the game. Miami's banged up. If Miami wasn't as banged up, I might pick Miami in this game. But I'm not. I mean, Tua doesn't have the arm strength for this weather or anything. So I'm gonna lean Chiefs. But I don't think they're blowing them out.
Yeah, I'm going to be the lone wolf. I'm going to go with Miami. I think, like Jason said, negative 30, you ain't nobody that can even throw a football. It's going to be like throwing rocks, catching rocks. And I feel like, look, Reed is a great coach, but Reed is not going to devise a game plan to run the football. He's going to devise a game plan to throw the football. And if it don't work, he's going to throw it more. Where I think McDaniels, he can scheme a running offense. He comes from the Shanahan pedigree tree. So I think he's going to scheme it. I could see them giving Tyreek Hill the ball a lot in running situations as well.
Jet sweeps.
So I'm going to trust McDaniel to scheme a run-oriented offense and squeak an ugly win off of Kansas City for an upset. All right.
And actually,
Like
right,
it.
because I'm betting Miami. I like the bet. I like them to cover, and I like the under.
Yeah, I think it's a close game.
All right, so let's go Pittsburgh-Buffalo. This game might not even be played in Buffalo, they're saying. With the lake effect nor'easter hits Buffalo, it gets moved to Cleveland.
Weather.
They're talking about, so they have
move this game.
Yeah.
It's football.
They-
better not move this game.
they have
Yes,
Cleveland. They
the
already
game is the
alerted
best.
the Cleveland Stadium, and also they're on. I guess it's
That
going to
would
be
so weak.
yeah, but I guess it's like a type of a blizzard where they couldn't even play football. I mean,
if they have to declare a state of emergency where people can't leave their houses,
yeah,
then
they're
yes, they
saying
would
it
not
could
play the
be
game,
something.
but-
So we shall see, but
Like a COVID game, empty stadium. Like that.
I don't know the logistics. It's just something I actually just saw it like an hour before the podcast. So, so they are due for some poor weather as well. However, I mean, I'm not going to go deep. Buffalo's going to win the game. Chalky.
So if it's not an empty stadium, that would be interesting because it'd be a lot easier for Pittsburgh fans to get there than Buffalo fans.
Yeah.
But this is one of two games I actually think that where the losing coach may not keep his job, and I'm going to go Buffalo. I don't think it's impossible that Tomlin steps aside because he's still kept that streak intact. They have no future at quarterback. What's the sense of him hanging around for another couple years without much of a future there? So he may decide to step aside and either go somewhere else or sit a year out. But Buffalo wins.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a one-word chalky answer. Buffalo.
Yeah. Jason.
Same thing. I can't see Buffalo losing this game. I'm starting to even think that they'll cover.
Yeah, I'm starting to think it's a blowout.
Pittsburgh just doesn't belong in the playoffs. So yeah, Buffalo.
Meeker.
Yeah, I think the only way that Pittsburgh can keep it close is if they just control the clock and use this newly found running game that they've gotten over the last few games to keep it close. But I don't think they're going to win. I think Allen makes a couple plays with his legs and his arm, and without T.J. Watt, I think that's huge. And
Is he
they'll win.
not playing for sure?
He's not playing.
Out. TJ Watt's out this week.
Yeah.
24-17. I got Pittsburgh backdoor covering it though.
Look at Meeker with giving scores in every game. This is playoff Meeker right here. Love it.
Damn.
He's giving roadmaps to our fade and Meeker betters.
Let's say 41 points in Buffalo. Okay.
The fade Meeker bets.
All right, let's move to the NFC. Philly, Tampa, we covered. Detroit and the Rams -3 on.
You skipped the game. Go do the Cowboys. Packers Cowboys.
Oh, do that first. Oh, is that the order? Okay, I just.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
so let's go. Dallas, Green Bay -7. Dallas in Big D. Did I start with you, Chalky? Yet?
Who cares? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Chalky, go ahead.
Mike McCarthy survives at least one more week and Dallas wins.
Kevin.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like all the pressure obviously is on Dallas. Dak is, I think, 1-5. Well, I don't know if it's straight up or against the spread in the playoffs.
I think against the spread because I think
Spread.
he has
He's
he's
got 3
2 and
playoff
4.
wins, I think?
He's 2 and 4, I think, as
So
a,
2-4, yeah.
So Green Bay to cover, but I just think Green Bay comes in nothing to lose. I mean, they're one of the hotter teams in the NFL. They're the looser team. I think McCarthy's on the hot seat. Dallas knows they fail the bright lights on them. Green Bay is a more balanced offense. I mean, probably the Dallas run game's kind of disappeared the last few weeks. I think Green Bay wins 27-26, which sets up a home game for Philly when we get to the next pick in the divisional round. But yeah, Green Bay shocks the world.
I think that's a little hometown cooking pick there.
Maybe it's not. Any given Sunday.
Jason.
Certainly.
Yeah, this is going to be my spread game. I think Dallas is just too good at home. Like I said, I do these models. And
Detroit almost should have won that game. But.
They did. They should have. I'm not a big fan of Green Bay. You know, Jordan Love he's not a rookie, but he's a first-time starter in the playoffs. So you got that whole thing. I think Dallas wins and covers this game. I think they win pretty easily.
I echo that. I think Dallas wins the game and covers the spread as well. Meeker.
Yeah, Jordan Love has played pretty mistake-free football for the most part in the last 5 or 6 weeks, but I think the Dallas D comes up with a big player too. Dak and Lamb connect for a couple of TDs, and their experience and their firepower wins out in their home. So I'm just going to pick Dallas 30-20.
Okay. All right, let's go to the last NFC game before we roadmap it. Detroit and the Rams. Detroit is -3. Kevin, kick it off.
Again, I know the public's all over this one, but hearts with Detroit. But I just think the Rams' offense is. I mean, honestly, the Rams are probably the one team, maybe other than San Fran, that I would not want to play. And I think McVay's a bit rejuvenated. I think him and Raheem Morris are going to get the golf. And I got the Rams 28-23 on the road.
All right, Meeker.
Yeah, the narrative that's going to dominate this, obviously, is the Stafford coming back to Detroit and then McVay and the Goff thing, and that dominates the narrative. But I think that Detroit wins the game. I think that their pass rush versus the Rams' offensive line might be the biggest reason why they win it. I think it's going to be a very close game, though. I'm going to go 27-26. Detroit edges the Rams. I know the Rams seems to be a sexy pick right now, so I'm going to go against the grain.
Jason? It took you 18 weeks to learn that. Jason?
Not more than that.
Yeah, it took you 53 years. 53 years to learn that.
53 years.
I'm sorry. What was the record this year?
This year. This year. We will get into stats. Thank you. We'll do the 2-year stats. Thank you. I'll be sure to point that out, Jason.
We will do 2 years. Yeah, I really like the Rams coming into the playoffs and coming into this game, but now that they're such a trendy dog pick, I can't do it. I can't go with them. I just can't go with them. I can't pick a trendy dog. The line's still 3. You would think Vegas would move the line. I think the Lions are going to win this game. I do. And I struggle with this because I wanted to pick the Rams, but I just can't do it. I got to go with the Lions.
Yeah, and I have Lions, and they will cover the 3 points as well. All right, let's roadmap the NFC East now that we gave.
I'm sorry, who did I pick? Did you write it down?
Oh, Chalky.
I forgot.
You're going to pick the Rams.
Okay. Oh, I didn't pick
the Rams.
Write
it down. Rams.
2 weeks ago, I would have picked the Rams, but since then, the script has been leaked, and it calls for Detroit to win this game.
No wolfing it. All right.
All right. That was a waste of 8 seconds. So let's do not the NFC East. Let's do the full NFC picture. So Jason, roadmap us to your NFC.
Well, you have my games for this week. So I think next week's games are going to be 49ers Bucs and Cowboys Lions. I can't see the 49ers losing to Tampa Bay. So that's easy. 49ers. And then I do think Cowboys are going to beat the Lions. I just think Cowboys at home are if that game was on the road, I would not pick the Cowboys, but I'm going to pick them at home. So my championship game is 49ers Cowboys, and I just said I don't like the Cowboys on the road, so I'm going to pick the 49ers to win the NFC.
Okay. Meeker, your roadmap.
Yeah, San Fran over Tampa. I'm going to pick Detroit over Dallas if that game happens, obviously. And then I'm going to take the Niners over Detroit. The Niners go to the Super Bowl.
Chalky.
San Fran routs the Eagles. NFL flips the script and gives Detroit the win over Dallas. And San Francisco beats Detroit in the championship game.
Kevin.
So as I said, Philly has a home game, divisional round according to my roadmap. But obviously,
your roadmap looks like Pashang Avenue right now.
Yo, it greased the bone because San Fran's going to roll Green Bay, but Philly hosting the Rams are going to go on a roll and find a way to get back to the NFC Championship rematch, this time in San Fran versus Philly. But my homerism dies there, and I do think San Fran rolls them again. Maybe not rolls, but, cover whatever the spread is, and Sirianni survives another year. Kelsey comes back for one more, but San Fran's in Super Bowl.
All right, and not much different here. I got San Fran rolling on the Eagles. I have Detroit winning the revenge game against Dallas. So I do have San Fran, Detroit, and then I have San Fran. Although one of my predictions was neither San Fran or Baltimore will make it, I mean, you just look at the numbers. It's hard to play against San Fran. So I have San Fran in the Super Bowl as well. All right, let's do our AFC. Meeker, give you a shot first.
So I'd have Baltimore playing Cleveland, and I think it's going to be a really tough game for Baltimore, but I think they'll win that game at home. Buffalo will take out Kansas City. I think they're ripe. They're ripe to finally beat Kansas City. At least they're going to be home too for that game. And then it'll be Baltimore and Buffalo in the AFC Championship, and I'm going to take the Ravens to beat the Bills.
Okay, so the 2 number 1 seeds. Got it.
Jason.
Jason, you're where are you at?
Yeah, so, well, I've been saying I don't like Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, and I don't think the Ravens want to play Cleveland Browns in the playoffs. I think that is a game that's a team they don't want to see come in there. Cleveland has proven they could beat them in Baltimore. And I think Cleveland stays on a roll. I think Cleveland beats the Ravens, knocks them right the hell out. And then I do see the Bills beating the Chiefs. Again, I wanted to pick against the Chiefs this week. I just couldn't do it. So I think the Bills had the home game. They pull that one out. And I struggle with this one, but I'm going to stick with it. But I'm saying I think Cleveland's peaking at the right time. And I think the Browns are going to upset the Bills too. And Browns win the AFC.
Yeah, we'll go chalky.
All right, so I have Baltimore versus Houston. I struggled, but I'll go Baltimore. Buffalo beats Kansas City, so Baltimore, Buffalo, and we finally get the Super Bowl that I think Chris Berman picked for every year in the 90s, and that is Buffalo versus San Francisco.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, if we do get this roadmap, I mean, these divisional games in the AFC are going to be all time. I mean, Baltimore, Cleveland, divisional game, hate each other. Again, Hart wants to go Cleveland, but I think Baltimore gets at least one win in the playoffs. They move on in a tight one, because of their athletic quarterback. KC Buffalo, I mean, they seem to find each other in the playoffs every year. This is going to be another iconic game, but I think Buffalo at home, hopefully another, weather game, moves on to the NFC Championship against Baltimore. And I think Buffalo, I mean, they've been due for years, and I think they take out Baltimore on the road to go to Super Bowl against San Fran.
Okay. And I have Baltimore, Miami in the second round, and I think Miami gets their revenge this time and takes out the athletic quarterback of Lamar Jackson. And then I got Buffalo, Cleveland. No, Buffalo, Cleveland. So I had.
No, he picked Miami.
Yeah,
only one.
I have Buffalo, Cleveland. I struggle with this game. I could see it going either way. I'm going to stick with Cleveland. Similar to Jason, which I did say at one point. So then I had Cleveland, Miami which may get the lowest ratings ever in the AFC Championship game, and I got Cleveland.
They'll be home.
And I got Cleveland. I got Cleveland going to the Super Bowl against San Francisco. All right, we saying who wins or Super Bowl? Or are we just leaving it at that?
I mean, we could.
All right, go ahead.
You want to leave it there?
No,
I don't care. I mean, we don't have to. I mean, I'm going to
We
pick
made it this far, might as well.
All right,
I'm going to pick 49ers.
Jason, go ahead.
49ers.
Me.
I mean, my opinion would be subject to change seeing what happens in these games, but if you ask me right now, I'm just going to take Baltimore.
Chalky.
Buffalo.
Kevin.
Yeah. I think Buffalo gets the first Super Bowl.
Wow.
Round the wagons.
We're gonna have the mini parade down Main Street in Newark as Cleveland takes the Super Bowl, and the parade's for Joe Flacco. He went to University of Delaware, so that's
First ballot Hall of Famer if he doesn't.
2 Super Bowls.
I mean,
Yeah, amazing story.
Could also have the parade down Broad Street for a Philadelphia-based coach to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, St. Joe's Prep, right?
Yeah, imagine that. If the AFC gets your championship game, Jason, it's Prep versus LaSalle in the AFC championship game.
McDermott, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Stefanski.
All right. I think that's all we had, except for now we go through stats. Is there anything else you guys want to add? For the wild card weekend, or you want to jump into just reading off some stats and finish with if anybody has a touchdown or play that we like to give out? Kevin, as our special guest, anything that you wanted to say you didn't get a chance to say?
From a betting standpoint, Tip, I'm going to be hammering the unders in the playoffs. I think, playoffs defenses tend to win. Coaches play a little more conservative. Super Bowl's, over every year, but hammer the unders. Be looking at some touchdown prop parlays as we do. Try to hit one of those. But, hammer the unders. Enjoy the games. I wish the NFL got rid of the Monday Night Football game. I think that's the most ridiculous thing ever, especially MLK Day. It's wasted. I promised my boys, my 6 and 7 year old, to stay up, and they got school the next day. But we're still staying up to watch the Birds win. But
I'll say this: like the 4 or 5 game was expected to be the Monday night game. So prior to the Giants game, I was like, oh, it's going to suck. The fact that so many guys got banged up last week, I'm like, all right, Monday's the extra day. But. Yeah, that's rough. That's a short week turnaround for whoever wins.
Didn't Tampa have the Monday night game last year too? Wasn't it Tampa-Dallas Monday night?
Tampa-Dallas. Mm-hmm. So
it's
the 4-5 game they make the Monday night game. It's happened the last 3 years that they've had the extra team.
Oh, is it the third year that there's a Monday night game?
Because it was Arizona Rams the year before was the Monday night game. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get in.
Real quick.
Go ahead, Meeker.
One touchdown parlay. I priced this out today. So Williams, A-Chain, and Njoku, and that's a plus 800. They all score a touchdown.
Williams from the Rams.
Rams.
Right. Plus, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mike Evans gets in.
Who's that?
Mike Evans.
Okay.
All right. Jason, want to read off stats? Kevin, you, as an innocent bystander, feel free to make any comments when you start hearing these stats.
All right.
Yeah, let's wrap them up for the year. So over under last week, under once again ruled the day. They had 9 unders or 7 overs. So for the year, 124 over, 145 under. So under was 56% on the year. Continues to be an under league. Public over under, really no noise there. I mean, they did have a bad week last week. They were 6 and 10. We ended up winning 52.5% on the year, so they pretty much broke even in that regard. But the public spread. Once again, the public was 12 and 4 last week. They finished 152 and 114, 57%.
The public.
Very public year this year. Very, very public year.
Seems to be a correlation to somebody's picks. Go ahead.
It does for sure. All right, so let's wrap up our stats. So last week, the pod actually had a good week. The pod went, I believe the pod went. Why am I losing this now? 8 and 4.
I might have gave us a profit, right?
No, we came down to that last game. If we would have won
Buffalo game.
If Buffalo would have went over, we would have been profitable.
Or if the Colts running back catches that ball out of the backfield and scores.
Well, if Minshew was an all-competent
quarterback.
Yeah. Steichen was not happy with Minshew. Jeez.
He wanted to punch him.
Steichen also burned a timeout unless he waited 40 seconds to call a timeout and then couldn't get the ball back. But
yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so I finished out 2 and 1. I did lose my best bet. I was not good on best bets this year. I lost with the Bears. That was a bad pick. But I did win my 2 unders, which was the Bucs Panthers. That never had a chance to go over, and then the Jets Patriots, which also never had a chance to go over. So 2 and 1. Tommy went 1 and 2. He lost with the Redskins. Yeah, the Commanders. Sorry. He lost with the Commanders. He did win with the Jets Patriots, so that was a trendy pick for us last week. And then, like I mentioned, that Bills-Dolphins game, we needed that to stay positive for the year and for all time.
Well, maybe if Josh Allen didn't just, throw the ball away in red zones, they would have went over.
Yeah. Chalky went 2-1. He did lose his best bet with the Colts, like we just mentioned. He won the under in the Ravens Steelers, and he also had Jets Patriots. So there's 3 of us.
That got closer than it had to after Hall broke that 70-yarder towards the end of the game, I think it was.
The Jets Patriots.
Yeah,
They still needed 2 more scores though.
Was it 2 more scores? I thought they got within 1 score.
Nah,
no, was it 2 more?
yeah.
No, okay.
16-3, 16-6.
Yeah, they needed 2 scores in 2 minutes.
Well, it went down to, and maybe it was just when it adjusted, because it went down to like 27 or something, didn't it? 27 or 28. We had it at 30, yeah. Right,
We were at 30 and a half. And then Meeker went 3-0. So Meeker, and you'll see as we get to the stats, Meeker saved himself for the year. So he had the Dallas-Washington over, which got kind of lucky because they kicked that field goal at the end that McCarthy really didn't have to kick, but it went over. He did have the Lions -3, and he had the Saints -3. So he went 3-0. So I'll start with our best bets. I was 8-9 on the year. Like I said, bad year for me, only 47%. Lifetime, I am 20-14 and 59% for best bets, but bad year this year. Tommy 9-9, 50%. Lifetime, he's still good, 19-14, 58%. Lifetime. Chalky, you slowed down at the end. You started out good with best bets, but you still went 10-8, which was 56%, I believe. 19-16 lifetime, 54%. So still good there. Meeker went 9-8, 53% for the year, but he's only 15-19 lifetime. For the year,
So wait, what is that percentage for us? Just lifetime?
It's not good. Unfortunately, this is the only one. Let me just give me 2 seconds here, and I'll.
Because I just
give it to
need
you.
some advice.
So what did I say? 15
And
divided by
19.
34. 44%.
All right, Kevin, you are an advisor, right? I don't want to say, but you help people with their finances. I gave you $100. Is 44% a good? Well, it is a good rate of return. If it was in, would that be what was the ROI, Jason? Was it?
You're muted.
Not good. It's negative.
Negative. So would giving you $100 to have a negative ROI, would that be a wise investment?
I mean, probably not 24% every year ROI. I'll take that.
Yeah, no,
Not ROI.
not ROI. That's
Percentage.
winning percentage.
That's win percentage.
No, that's got the feds knocking at your door if you're pulling that.
Yeah, that's a Madoff. That's a Madoff.
You buy low, and then it starts to rise.
To be fair to Meeker,
Fade the Meeker bet.
The
That-
fade the
the
Meeker. Okay. Go ahead,
but to
Jason.
be fair to Meeker, let's go
That's
to the
9-8.
2023 records. So,
But again, that was the historic year for the public.
and we will do
A historic year for the public.
all-time records.
That's wild. Almost 60%.
Historic.
So-
It's like seeing a solar eclipse. I mean, I don't know. Is that rare? I actually
All
have
right.
no idea.
So 2023 record. So I was 30-23, profit of $416, 57%, 8% ROI. Meeker went 27-24, $34 profit, 53% win, 1% ROI. Meeker was positive for the year, so he had to go 3-0 last week, and he did it. Chalky was 25-28, loss of $488, 47% win, -9% ROI. Tommy 25-29, loss of $518, 46% win, -10% ROI. And for the pod, we were 113-105, loss of $108, 52% win, -0.5% ROI. All time, I'm 63-42, profit of $1,509, 60% win, so I was able to keep my 60%, 14% ROI. Tommy, 53-47, profit of $347, 53% win, 3% ROI. Meeker, 50-52, loss of $685, 49% win, -7% ROI. And Chalky, 49-57, loss of $1,198, 46% win, -11% ROI. For the lifetime of the pod, we're 215-198, loss of $28,
That's crazy.
Sure,
over 2 years.
52% win, -0.1% ROI.
But
Coin
at,
flip, basically.
at this point, everybody knows not to bet Meeker's best bet and not to bet my third bet. So if you take
And
those
when
out,
you guys are together,
yeah,
you're
that's also very
Oh yeah,
unprofitable.
do some of the
So-
what is our picks together and the Twitter.
So when Tommy and I both had the same best bet, we're 9-1. And when Tommy and I both had the same bet all together, we're 16-3. And when we put our Twitter picks out there, we're 13-7, and we had one push. So 65% Twitter. Not bad.
I'm pretty sure I was on 2 of those 3 losses with you, I think. But we won this last week at least.
But I didn't put it out because it was over under. If I should have put it out.
Yeah, I
I
honestly
usually
didn't
only
even
put
think of it.
spreads out. I don't put over unders on Twitter. We would we'd be 14-7. But
Yeah, I mean, then it dropped too by game time. So
yeah, I
lock it in, really.
I only put like spreads out there.
And Kev,
I
we
do
have
have a
bet-
question. I'm
if
going to
not
put you on the spot,
mistaken-
Kev. We're 3 months from the Masters. You have any long shots? Aberg or Oberg? What is his name?
Aberg? It's Ludwig Aberg, yes.
I've been hearing some good stuff about him. Is he a good
We'll
long
see.
shot?
I mean, he didn't really show up at the Century Kapalua last week, but playing at the Sony, I didn't
Yeah,
see
he was bad this week.
today.
I bet him.
Yeah, he's just stuff, but those courses don't really fit. I mean, honestly, I think the dude just he's kind of like Rahm coming in as a rookie 10 years ago who didn't threaten to win, but I think at a T20. I haven't dove into the Masters. I put in after last year's Masters a futures bet, so I already have one in the year. Got excellent odds. I think at 28-1. Koepka is my early horse for the Masters. So,
Okay.
yeah, 93. Actually, I think it's 91 days till the Masters. I
Yeah.
got a running countdown
About 3 months.
before we know it. But looking forward to that. I got the proper green jacket upstairs
All
that
right.
I'll be rocking.
You got to prep for it, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Meeker, you were gonna chime in before you got.
I was going to say, we have tried, each one of us have taken a guy to score a touchdown every week and have bet that all year. Can you guess how many times we've won that?
From that, I'm guessing nada.
I think we only hit
That'd be
3 or 4 like twice.
More
Did,
than that.
Oh, close. So many times.
I think we had it 3 times.
I mean, we've hit 0 out of 4 more than we hit
Yeah.
3 or 4 even.
Yeah.
I mean, it got to the point where I started betting against us on the ESPN bet because you can bet yes or no, and then we get 1 out of 4, so I
And
lose
then
that.
we hit it none, and then Meeker's trying to take a guy in the same team that I already have a guy. We can't hit on different
Only
teams.
one of them's
We're gonna have
when
2
we
guys
do
on the same team.
When we do it this week,
Either one
we
of
should
us.
all pick a separate game so we can pick the first touchdown. Because if we ever hit
Yeah,
that,
they're the insane one.
$4,000.
Yeah,
The time you saw mine,
Yeah.
I hit a
Kevin-
six tutty parlay.
6 guys he picked on.
25 to win 2,500.
Oh wow,
think.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
6 guys, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
I got
I had 2 of them this year, so.
I like Puka this week, but I like
Ghana
Njoku and Njoku. Flacco loves Njoku.
Eagles hurt. I sent you that bet, right? Jason, the Eagles, if they just would have just covered that, I would have won 700 and a 9-leg parlay and put $10 on it. And the Eagles were the only team I lost.
man, if you took Giants, it would have been
I don't know. I keep betting them.
the Giants money line. I would have juiced it. All right, episode 89, the Super Wild Card Weekend. Thanks to Kevin for joining us as a special guest.
Appreciate it, boys.
We will try to have a guest next week as well for is that just Wild Card Weekend? I don't even know. Divisional Weekend, whatever.
Division.
Division Weekend.
Super duper divisional weekend on this.
For next week to be announced. Have a great night.